Hi, welcome back to my channel. My name is Lexi. So for my week review and my weigh-in, last Saturday I told you guys I was at 178.4, and this past Saturday, September 5th, I was at 180.2. So that is a 1.8 pound increase. I'm still dealing with the kidney stones, so for right now I'm kind of in like a holding pattern where I'm not super concerned with what the scale says. I went to the urologist last Friday and I was able to see the CT scan that the hospital had taken. And so the urologist showed me that my kidney is swollen, and so that means that I'm retaining water. And anyway, during this period of time, I just, that can't be my main focus. My focus is trying to hydrate and drink lots of lemon water and apple cider vinegar water, taking some supplements. I'm really hoping that I will be able to pass the stone on my own. It has been 3 weeks so far, but the urologist was not very confident that I will be able to pass it on my own based on the size. So we do have a surgery date scheduled in a couple of weeks. So I'm crossing my fingers and toes and praying that I can pass it before then, so I don't have to have the surgery. Basically, they will go in with some laser technology and laser the stone and then pull it out, and then I get to have a stint in for like a week. So not looking forward to that. But yeah, just going back to the weight issue, like that can't be the thing that I'm concerned about right now. I am fasting still. I've still fasted 3 days a week, and last week I fasted Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And so that's my focus. That's what I'm choosing to work on, other than worrying about what the scale says, because I can't really control it right now. And I'm just really glad that I do know what's going on in my body, because had I just pushed through on that first day, kind of pushed through the pain, taken the ibuprofen, which helped me. And that's the other thing, is that I've been really blessed, I feel like, in that I have only had to take ibuprofen. A lot of people who have kidney stones have to take really heavy duty pain medication. And I haven't had a problem with that. I haven't had any, infections going on. Knock on wood, that's what will continue to happen. So if anything, I feel like probably the fasting has helped me to get through this, because of the anti-inflammatory processes in reaction to fasting, and that's one of the benefits. So, maybe that's helped me with the pain, maybe it's helped me with other things. So I'm grateful for that in the way that I feel, it's been good. So yeah, still hoping to get it out. If not, I will go do the surgery. I'm not going to keep talking about it all the time. I will kind of probably just update you after I get it out and let you know what has happened. But just know that that is why my weight is up. That's really the only other reason there could be. Yeah, so until that factor is taken out of the running, I'm not going to worry about it and focus on other things. Anyway, so today I wanted to talk about appetite correction. I recently read this book. It is AC, The Power of Appetite Correction by Bert Herring. And he is a doctor. And it says here that he worked for the National Institutes of Health. The reason that I was interested in reading this book was because Jen Stevens, who is the author of Delay, Don't Deny and Fast Feast Repeat, which is still my very favorite book on fasting, has mentioned his book quite often in her podcasts and in her books. So I was curious to read it and wondered if I would learn anything new. And I don't really know that I learned anything new, but I think that the reason is this book was written in 2015. And so Jen Stevens' book, Delay Don't Deny, was written in 2016, and then Fast Feast Repeat came out this year in 2020. And there's just been so much research that has come out in those last 5 years that I think a lot of this is sort of outdated. But I mean, I do think it's a good book. It is more focused on appetite, obviously, as opposed to with Jen's books, especially her most recent book, is more of the science about fasting and, insulin resistance. So there's not a lot of mention of insulin resistance or how to bring it down in this book. It's more focused on the fact that with fasting, your appetite comes into alignment, and what he calls is your apostat. So it's like a thermostat, like your thermostat being at the right temperature. It's like your apostat being at the right level where you want to eat as much as your body needs. And I know from personal experience that and this kind of goes along with intuitive eating. I had always heard about intuitive eating before fasting, and I thought it sounded marvelous, that you would just intuitively know how much to eat, and you could, open up a container of ice cream and sit there and have 3 bites and then be like, oh, I'm done, I don't want any more. And that just seemed so out of reach to me before. I felt like, and not that I do that even still now, I wouldn't sit there with a container of ice cream, but I will get to that later. But yeah, I think that the whole idea of intuitive eating and appetite correction was something that just felt completely impossible to me before I started fasting. And now I feel like I have experienced this appetite correction. Now that doesn't always mean that you listen to it. There has to be a choice involved and an awareness of listening to your body. And I think that takes practice, and it also sometimes is just easier based on the situation and what is going on in your body and your life and your emotions and all of that stuff. But still, the physical component is something that becomes possible with appetite correction. And the whole reasoning behind that, and he doesn't really even talk about the hunger and satiety hormones in this book, but in recent research, what has come out often is that so ghrelin is one of the hunger hormones that we feel, and then leptin is the hormone that helps us to feel satisfied and makes you want to stop eating. Now, most of us, before we start fasting, our hunger and satiety hormones are just completely out of whack. Like, you have ghrelin going off all the time telling you to eat, and then the leptin is just not giving those messages to say, okay, you can stop eating now. It's like, keep eating, and then 10 minutes later, oh, eat some more, and so that's kind of, our bodies are working against us, and fasting in large part because of the insulin going down will help to balance out those other hormones and help you to really come into tune with those hunger and satiety hormones, because you're not constantly, riding that insulin and blood sugar roller coaster, crashing and the highs and the lows. So anyway, as far as this book goes, would I buy it again? Probably not. I thought that it was one of those things that it was a good reminder and there were some good tips in the book. A few of the tips that are just things that I needed to sort of remind myself was, one of the things was just that you should try not to make decisions about what you're going to eat when you're hungry or while you're already eating. So I think that it is wise to kind of have a plan of things that you want to eat on your eating day, to make it count. Like, you want to have good options available to you when it's time to eat, so that you're satisfied and you feel like you've gotten all of the nutrients that you need, and you also ate something that you really like. Because if you just end up eating like your kids' leftover macaroni and cheese and some crackers that are laying around, you're probably not going to feel so great on your fasting day, and you're also just not going to be satisfied with that. At least I wouldn't be. So to have those good options, and also just to keep in mind, something that I've learned is that be aware when you are fasting and you go grocery shopping, things might end up in your cart that otherwise would not if you were on an eating day. This has happened to me very often. Things just always sound so good when you're fasting. So you'll end up with Oreos or brownie mix or something, and that's fine, but just know that that's a very likely event. So and then the other thing that he talked about was just how your plate size makes a difference in how much you eat. And I've heard research on this quite often, and I think it's actually quite true. So I just wanted to show you, I have these plates, and you can see the difference here. One is kind of like a salad plate, and this is a dinner plate. But I usually try to serve my meals on this size plate, the salad plate, because honestly, this is usually plenty for me and I feel completely satisfied. But if I filled up this plate, I would still feel like I needed to finish it, just because, I do have that conditioning in my brain, like, clear your plate, finish what you've got, And it's not to say that I can't go back and get more, but, it just kind of sets you up, I think, for a more reasonable portion size to what you really need. And especially as you fast, you'll find that the amount that you can eat is going to go down. Like, and when you hear those satiety signals, you're like, oh, I can't eat that much. And at first, it's going to probably make you sick sometimes, because you're going to go past that point, and it'll be too late. But just know that that's a temporary thing, and you'll learn to adjust to it. And then here's another thing. So here's two different size bowls. This is the size bowl that my husband and I would normally, or before, I haven't done this in a long time, but we used to put ice cream in these bowls, okay? And I'd say at one point we would have ice cream, at least a few nights a week. So we were going through ice cream like crazy, and this is a lot of ice cream. Now, on Saturday nights, I always leave open my whole Saturday. I have a longer eating window because I like to be able to enjoy a treat with my husband at night. And I will put it in this bowl, which probably is I'll end up having about like a half of a cup of ice cream in here. And, maybe to like 3/4 of a cup or something. And honestly, it's like the perfect amount, and I don't want more. If I wanted more, I could go get more. But I think you're just way less likely to go and serve yourself more ice cream into a bowl than like if you had this entire bowl, I would eat the whole thing. If I had the carton out, I would keep eating the whole thing too. So those are just some tips, things that were helpful to me to remember. And then the other thing is that with highly processed foods, it's not that you can't have them. It's just that you need to be aware that they are engineered in a way to make you want to keep eating them. What I've heard is they don't send the satiety signals to our brain the same way that a whole food does. So that's why they say, once you pop, you can't stop, because it's true. Like, you just want more and more. It's the whole way that the food is engineered to make your brain crave more of that food. So those were some just helpful reminders to me. And so I'd say it's a good book. I would say I definitely recommend this one. And Jen talks about appetite correction in this book as well, and in her other book too. So there you go. Check it out if you would like to. I can link it down below. But there are, I think, better, more up-to-date resources out there at this point. So I hope that is just kind of a helpful discussion. I think appetite correction is an amazing part of fasting. It is really magical, actually, because it was something that I never thought possible in my life. That is just a huge blessing to me now, that helps me to feel this control and steadiness in my eating. And it's great. It's amazing. So I hope you guys are doing well, and let me know if you have experienced this, and if you have any tips that you would like to share. So I'm sure we would all appreciate it. I hope you guys are great, and we will see you next time. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.